Hey guys. So, I have another story to tell you guys. Well, actually, it's not a story, it's a really good lesson. So, the other day, my mom and my sister were talking, and they were talking about how when my sister used to go to this church a long time ago, and they were having something sort of like a 4-week course or something like that, but it was all about how to hear from God, how to know that you're hearing from God. Because realistically speaking, some of us might struggle with that, knowing when we're hearing from God, knowing when we're hearing from ourselves, if it's our own voice, if the devil's trying to sneak in, we don't know. So they were having this talk, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go on and let y'all know because this is important. So, how they got to this was the fact that my mom had been, like, I swear, every night, every day, she kept saying, I want corn, I want corn, I want corn, a nice corn on the cob with butter and salt. I want corn, I want corn, I want corn. I finally made her this corn. I'm like, oh my gosh. Then after she got the corn, it was like, I want eggs. He made me 6 hard-boiled eggs. I'm like, why do you need 6 hard-boiled eggs? Who needs 6 hard-boiled eggs? And she's like, I don't know, I just need to have them round in case I want one. I'm like, okay, so we can just make a few. It's cool, chill. Um, so then she was telling my sister about it, and she was like, oh, well, I wonder what's in eggs, what's in corn, I wonder what's in those things. Because my sister's really big on, like, health and things, like knowing what's in, what nutrients are in there and what your body's calling for. So am I also. If you're craving something a lot, usually your body's calling for something. But either way, so when she looked it up, as it turned out, the common denominator in these things were sulfur. As it turns out, my mom had been taking a supplement where it included sulfur. And then for a while, she had stopped taking it. But her body had gotten so used to having this sulfur that it was calling for it in these different foods. The Holy Spirit was trying to guide her that, hey, you need this back. She didn't know that she needed one. She randomly got these things. She just happened upon them. Much like how everything happens, God puts things in our path that are for us. She just happened upon these things. It was like, oh, okay, well, I guess they have sulfur. I don't know. It must be good for me. I guess I've heard it's good for me. Let me use it. But as it turned out, she really needed it. So from then, that's how my sister started talking about what she learned at her church that she used to go to. And what they taught, I won't go into the whole story. I'm just going to give you guys how it works. Um, what they talked about was just have a journal, a notepad, a note section in your phone, whatever it is. And every time a thought pops in your head, you write it down. Every time. It doesn't matter what the thought is. Something you thought about eating. Oh, I gotta make sure I pay the rent. I should really put away that cup. Let me fold up these clothes. Just write it down. And it's gonna seem super ridiculous. It's gonna seem silly. Like, why the heck am I writing these things down? Why am I writing down that, I don't know, I should clip this nail that I have? Why am I writing down that I should put this book in a different spot on the bookshelf? Who knows? You write it down. Just keep writing it down every week, every week, every week. Write it down every day, not every week. Write it down constantly whenever it happens. And as you write those things down, after, there's no time limit. We know God has no time limit, but be it maybe a week later, 2 weeks later, could be a month later, all of a sudden there might be something that happens. Like, you might have gotten the thought, you should pay the rent. And then you're like, why should I pay my rent now? It's not, today's only blah, blah, blah. It's not due until this day. Why am I going to pay it? That's like a week and a half early. Why would I do that? I don't need to pay it right now. Yeah, I'm going to pay my rent, whatever. Then all of a sudden, here's what happens. Here comes the due date. And maybe something's going on that day. Life is crazy. We know how that can happen. And all of a sudden it's after midnight. You now didn't get your payment in time. You now have a late fee. where you wrote down like a week ago that you should pay your rent. You wrote it down, it popped in your head. That wasn't just random. That was the Holy Spirit knowing, because God and the Holy Spirit know what's coming in our future. They already know. We don't know, but they already know. That was it telling you, hey, do it now. Something's coming. Something's trying to come and rob you of this moment. Something's coming to disrupt it. Get it done now. Nip it in the bud. And by you not following that voice, now your rent is late. You have a late fee. You didn't know that that was going to happen. You didn't know that that was coming. You had no way of knowing. But that's what happened. Now, there's going to be things that don't really come back around to fruition, some of them. Those are the ones that might have been just of your own mind or whatever else. But if all of a sudden there's something that happened that could have been prevented or could have been changed by something that you wrote down prior, that was the voice of God talking to you. This is how you start discerning whose voice is whose. If it's not something that's going to be detrimental for you, like it's not going to hurt you to pay your rent early, there's nothing to hurt you from that, it's probably of God. So the next time that you want to know and you want to see, hey, in fact, it's just a good practice in general. I do it. I don't usually use this big notebook. This is really my business planning notebook. But you just write it down. It doesn't matter where it is. You can organize them later. Just start wherever. Anything you have, if you have a napkin, start writing it down. Just jot it down. Make a voice memo on your phone, whatever it is. Organize it later. Just start. And once you start and really start looking back at what you heard, and you have this list of things that are coming out of your head or seem like they're coming out of your head, but really they're coming from that Holy Spirit inside of you. Really, it's God talking to you. And you see them and you realize when you actually listen to them and you actually follow where it's guiding you, my gosh, the doors that will open. My gosh, the things that come. The things that allow you to go on and be better and more productive and more fulfilled. The things that are stopped from happening. It's really amazing. Me writing these things down is part of how I got here. So never question if you sound silly, if this seems silly. Don't question if, that's nonsense, this is ridiculous. I mean, you can. It might not be for everybody. I might not be for everybody. Everything and everyone isn't for everybody, and that's fine. Everyone has their own path and their own journey. That is okay. But for those of you that this message is for, just do it. It doesn't matter what it is. Just do it. And you will see. You will definitely see and feel within yourself the change that comes once you start actually looking at and recognizing the voice of God and how He has spoken to you. The things that will change from you actually, because just like when you're at school, they tell you to take notes, and you take notes, and that's what helps you remember. That's what helps you build up that muscle memory for things that you need to get done. That's what you use to learn and to really keep track of what you need to get done and what you need to do. It's the same thing. Just like how if someone tells us something, maybe we'll forget, maybe we won't. But if we have it written down, then we're not going to quite forget. We have something to refer back to. Same thing if we're trying to hear from God. Whatever messages you're hearing, that's what you need to hear. That's what you need to write down. Obviously, it's what you need to hear. You write those down, and by them being on paper, you have an actual account of what is being said to you, where you're being guided, and the paths you're supposed to go down. You have an actual detailed lineup of Some of them might be warnings, some of them might be words in due timing, some of them might be tips, some of them might be a heads up, but you have them right there for you. And how amazing is that you can just have everything God's trying to tell you just laid out right there for you. Not something you have to pick out and pinpoint, not something you have to try and remember or try and decipher. It's right there. All you got to do is listen, write, and look. Listen, write, look. Listen, write, look. That's all you have to do. And I should probably add in listen again, because once you look at it, you should probably take heed to what's on there. Okay? So I hope this was helpful. I hope this helps guide many of you, if not all. I'd love to touch everybody. That's not make it that way, but I'd love to be a help and to touch all of you in the best way. You know, I'm just gonna stop saying that. This is getting weird, but you guys get the hint, okay? I hope this is motivating and helps guide you and has left an impact. That's the better way to say that. I would love to leave an impact on all of you. Like I said, might not be for everybody. Love you guys. We'll talk again soon. Bye.